Welcome to the very first episode of the Purpose is a Decision podcast. My name is Kate Burns, and I'm really honored that you're here. In this podcast, I will be discussing any number of topics. I will be going over entrepreneurship. I will be going over parenting, relationships, growth, leadership, various topics that are in direct alignment with the things that I have been learning and studying for decades, really. And, I've given a lot of thought to what I'd like the next decade to look like for myself. And I've come to realizing that having meaningful conversations with people and building in front of people is something that I would love to do. It's something that sparks something in me. I was inspired by a Howard Thurman quote. He's a theologian and a civil rights activist, and he said, "Don't ask what the world needs. Ask what makes you come alive, because what the world needs is more people who've come alive." And really just finding that passion that you can feel excited about and finding something that brings value not just to yourself, but to other people. Something that could help other folks look at maybe what your journey has been, as imperfect as it may look, and think to themselves, you know what? If she was able to do this, if she was able to accomplish this, maybe I could as well. Now, fair warning, I don't claim to have all the answers. In fact, I think that one of the things you'll find is that I will have a lot of thought-provoking questions, and I will ask more questions really than provide answers. I've done a lot of things. I am the owner of 5 different companies. I have had some companies that people know about, some that nobody knows about. I don't typically really even talk about my business life. I don't talk about it. I started in the business world through the network marketing industry. And if you know anything about Utah, you know that it is the network marketing capital of the planet. And if you've dreamt it, if you've heard of it, it's in Utah. And so I suppose was no exception to that. And I was introduced to that industry. And the biggest thing for me that came from that was the fact that I got introduced to a path of self-discovery. It never really matters, at least to me, this is my personal opinion on the matter. Like, there's some great companies, there's some not great companies. Choose wisely. There's that. But what is kind of a constant across that industry as a whole is the emphasis on the personal growth, the emphasis on the personal development, and the emphasis on really kind of preparing people for real life struggles and challenges, like how to deal with adversity, how to deal with, rejection, how to deal with criticism, which are all things that I think on some level, all of us struggle with, myself included. And I avoided that industry for a very long time. And I am no longer involved within network marketing, but I'm certainly grateful for the journey, because much of who I have become today was from all the things that I've learned when I was inside of that space. I was able to use the principles and learnings from those platforms from all those years ago and apply them into more traditional business ownership. And it's been a blessing. It's been a blast. And it's an evolving journey. I certainly haven't arrived, and I continue to build, and I continue to build on purpose. I do believe purpose is a decision. I believe that it's not, necessarily all glitz and glamour. It's not, having an army of cheerleaders around you, although it's important to have folks that support you. But just like knowing that whether you have that support or you don't, once you connect to something that truly makes you come alive, you can brave so many things. And so that's kind of how this whole thing came about. That's why I decided to start a podcasting channel and have these conversations with you in hopes that they spark something in you, in hopes that you join me on this journey, and that you tune in, and that you listen, and that you share, and that you subscribe, and that you do all the things. Some of you guys listening may be seasoned entrepreneurs, very successful individuals, and some of you listening may be people who have struggled with any of the above, really. I don't believe necessarily that entrepreneurship is for everyone, but I do believe that the skill sets and the tools that it takes to make it as an entrepreneur are just as relevant for those who aren't. And that's one of the things you learn about me, is that I compare myself to a sponge in that I am always learning. I'm always soaking up knowledge. I never look at anything that I've done and feel like I got there. I just it's a never ending journey. And I'm okay with that. I've made peace with that. I genuinely enjoy continuous learning, and I genuinely enjoy things that make me feel like I'm making a difference. So here we are. If I haven't already mentioned it, network marketing was my start. And 5 companies later, I am still learning and growing. I'm into real estate. I have a real estate portfolio. I'm not a pro by any stretch. So, you can ask me basic questions, but not a whole lot of in-depth questions when it comes to that. I can bring in some guests who have a far bigger and extensive resume than myself. And, they can talk about that stuff. I own a few other companies, many of which I will dive into with you guys as we go along. It's interesting because I'm doing this podcast today, really kind of the story behind the story is when I decided that I wanted to go to divert on this path and start talking about what I'm building and talking about my businesses and things of that nature and just like, establishing this brand. I went on seeking out resources to be able to help me do it and do it well. And I connected with an individual whose name I won't mention. Yeah, I didn't wake up one day and decide, I want to own these companies. I want to, start a business or any of that. It was never like that for me. Every single company that I have built, every single business that I've built has had a story behind it and a driver that essentially triggered in me the desire to really lock in and go all in on something. And over time, I will kind of take you guys behind the curtains on every single one of those things. And as far as this particular endeavor is concerned, though, having the Purpose is a Decision podcast put together, when I decided to start working on this brand and start doing this work, I went on looking for resources, for help, for support, because I really wanted to have folks who can help me do it and do it well. So I was introduced by a good friend of mine to this young gentleman who works within the social media marketing industry, and building brands is something he knows really well and has a lot of social proof behind the work that he's done and based on the clients that he's had and things like that. So I had a meeting with him, had a one-on-one meeting with him, and just really tried to get some tips and help just learning how to do it and do it well. And it's interesting because I have a 19-year-old son, and this gentleman is 24 years old and very accomplished and successful young man, which is impressive. And when I asked him, do you have any pointers for me? Like, where do I even start and how do I do this and stuff like that? And he's like, listen, I have a lot of one-on-one conversations with people, is what he told me. And about 95% of everyone that I meet with never takes a step and never does anything that I tell them to do. So for me to tell you what to do is not going to do you any good because you're not going to do it anyway. And I'm thinking, excuse you? First of all, I could be your mom, okay? Like, no, I didn't say that. But then he's like, here's the thing. You've known what you want to do, talked about it, but you have taken absolutely no action. Like you may not have all the tools and all the resources, but you know some things and you know where to start, but you've taken no action. That's how I know you will be one of those people. And that was kind of a kick in the gut because, like I tell my kids all the time, everything that you do is a matter of creating an identity. It's a matter of, like, for example, like you go to school, academics, they're great, it's good. But what's important for me within that is having the identity of the finisher, having the identity of the straight A student. Not for the straight A's. I had A's in school as well. Half the stuff I learned back then, I don't remember to this day. But what I do know, what I did connect with is the fact that having a track record of someone who does things well, someone who excels, someone who's not in the 95 percentile of anything is more important than the thing itself. And so I tell that to my kids all the time. It's not about the grades. It's about having the identity that will give you the courage and the self-confidence and the drive to reach whatever heights you set your sight on. So fast forward to this gentleman telling me that more than likely will be like the 95% of people who he talks to. He has all these resources and this wealth of knowledge, but they don't take action. I took that on as a personal challenge. So I'm like, okay, well, watch me. Now, for some of you guys who are on social media constantly and like you're posting all the time, and some of my friends are really masterful at this stuff. Like they don't even do it, like they're not even building a brand. That's just who they are. And they just like post all the time, and they do really well with it. I have always struggled with this, like maybe 5%, if that, of everything that happens in my life like is on social media. Like I just have never really been that guy. And so I've been reluctant to engage within that platform. And it's like, look, if you're going to do this, you're going to have to start somewhere, and you're going to have to show me that you actually is going to take action. And listen, I believe, like, I think there's a Mark Twain quote that says, the secret of success in life is find out where 95% of people are going and go the other direction. I don't want to fall within the 95% category, because that's just not who I am. That's not what I identify as. And so here we are. I took on his challenge, and here I am recording my first podcast. One of these days, I will walk you through all the painful moments and tricky points that I've had to kind of navigate in order to even get the first one off the ground, which again, for some people may seem like it's not that deep, but for me, it's been a struggle. But here we are. When you find yourself in positions of uncertainty, risk, and emotional exposure, that's how Brene Brown defines vulnerability, which to her is connected to courage. That was me. Like, I feel like I don't know how this stuff is going to be received, if it's going to be received well, but it's okay. It doesn't matter, because I will do what I'm going to do. I will build what I'm going to build, and I choose to do all of that in front of you. So please tune in and continue to listen to my podcast. I will be dropping another episode next week. And the things that you can expect from this platform are entrepreneurial resources. One of my companies is a marketing company that has, automations, reputation management, just it's like there's so much that I've learned, and there's so many failures that I've experienced in building the companies that I have now, many of which are like away from me. Like one of my companies has people that like assistants that work from other countries, other states, and I'm here. So I've had to learn resources and have the ability to run it all from where I'm at without losing my mind. And at times it has felt like I was going to lose my mind. So I will be sharing with you all some resources and strategies that I've learned as I've been growing all of these. I will be bringing people on who maybe have a little bit more experience than myself that can share even more. So whether you're an entrepreneur, a wannabe entrepreneur, a hustler, a parent, I think this platform is going to be for you. So I invite you to lean in and join me every week on the Purpose is a Decision podcast and share it. If you come across someone that this information would be helpful to, please share and follow and subscribe. This will be dropping on my YouTube channel later on today, and I'm excited to see you there. Thank you so much for tuning in. Again, I am Kate Burns with the Purpose is a Decision podcast, episode 1.